know what you're going to be doing every game and know how to win doesn't actually benefit you at all.
Absolutely.
Unless you're kind of working on mechanics, which everyone is, but you'll probably gain more out of playing against someone that you've never played against and haven't seen their style whatsoever.
Exactly. So I'm doing almost like a Jinro build. You know, Jinro used to do like a 1 starport and go to 3 racks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing that, and I'm going to be expanding. Now, why I didn't expand earlier is because I was playing a little bit more cautious this game. I could have expanded if I scouted, but I forgot what happened, but I was just screwing around. I was talking or something like that with him because we were on Skype while this was going on, and I didn't scout him, so I was like, oh, crap. So I knew theoretically it wasn't correct to go ahead and expand, but getting the 3 racks up first, and then now I have this Banshee in here applying pressure, so I knew, okay, if I was cutting a corner actually, I was thinking, okay, I'll just get my command center, and I'll be able to see exactly what this player has, TT1 has. So with that, I'm able to remove all of his attacking units, TT1's attacking units, from any sort of potential aggressive position. So that's why I went ahead and expanded prematurely, knowing that 5 Marines isn't going to be able to suffice. But just the fact that TT1 is unable to do anything, it's fine. And you can see I get a good number of kills with this Banshee, but again, my expansion is so far behind that this had to be like standard, and this is a huge blunder. Losing the Banshee, I'll go into that more, why it's 10 times worse than people think, but I'll do that a little later. But I was so far behind in my expansion, and I cut actually 2 SCVs to get that Banshee so fast that I needed to do some sort of damage, like some huge damage like that. And you can see I'm just playing pretty standard. Now I do have to also say, JP, I was not on my my platform either. I was on my mouse and keyboard or mouse pad. I was actually at work. It's a good place to work, man.
It is a pretty good place to work.
Yeah, no doubt, man. But you can see, this is really important too. I'm taking out one of the simulators. Again, it might seem like, oh, whatever, it's in a simulator, who cares? But, denying gas is so huge because it stops tech. It does so many different things. It stops sentry count. It stops stalker count. All these really, really important units that, Protoss needs, I'm able to deny. So it's really, really important. Even if my Banshees have no other place to attack those simulators. It's like the number one thing you would do if you can attack probes. Assuming that you can kill the simulator, that is.
Right.
But I knew that he didn't have a robo for a while, so it was okay.
Now, there are 2 at his expansion and 2 at his main photon cannons. Do you agree with TT1's kind of decision to throw down the photon cannon instead of getting a robo bay?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. The photon cannon helps immensely with all-ins. This is a very, very common build for Protoss. It helps immensely with all-ins. The photon cannons, well, you can't click on one. If you were able to click on one, you would see it has a stupid range for its detection. It's actually really, really good for detecting. So it can combat Banshees very well, and you can incur a little bit of a loss knowing that your expansion is up way faster. And actually, if he had the ability to, but I killed one of the simulators, if he had the ability to, he'd have +1/1, or at least +1 out right now, and he can get 1/1 very, very fast. And he'll have this really strong army composition early in the game. So, I mean, it's really, there still is continuation on this. It's not like it dies immediately, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We have 2 of your Banshees back. You talked about how you want to talk about it later. That one of those Banshees dying early on is really a huge thing. As you're repairing these, let's go ahead and get the info on why that's such a big thing to lose that initial Banshee.
Sure. Okay, so let's say I have. Let me try to explain a situation. So, if you're harassing with a Banshee, and let's say you can kill 5 probes and lose the Banshee, or kill no probes and still retain the Banshee, what would you do? And a lot of people would say, oh, well, keep those 5 probes, right? Or excuse me, kill those 5 probes, because the 5 probes is 250 minerals. That's huge. I only paid 150 minerals and 100 gas. But still, you invest, even if it was like 7 probes, let's say. And you could do 7 probes or keep the Banshee type of deal. I would always keep the Banshee, and the reason for that is because it always implies pressure. So it forces units to non-aggressive stances, unless they get static defense, right? So if they get the static defense, it needs to be everywhere. It needs to be everywhere for it to actually work. Because as soon as there's the smallest opening, it's already there for the Banshee, and they can do what they want. That's the most important thing, okay? So, again, it just helps with Terran in going ahead and expanding. You know, it helps because Protoss need to play that defensive route, and it allows you to tech prematurely to what you should be at, but because you have spacing, you're able to do that. And there's a little attack going on, well, pretty big attack actually going on here. Banshees immediately target the what's it called? Colossus, and then everything else because, again, Marauders are pretty strong against stock.
Pretty strong, yeah. They do okay.
They're pretty strong. But of course, this was a timing.
Right.
I saw that, I didn't get any expansions, and then he got the Nexus. So of course I was going to go attack. And I knew I did a decent amount of damage with the Banshee. The only thing here, the biggest problem right here is that I lost all my Banshees. So again, now I basically lose map control. But I'm going to keep up with the Banshee count, and you can see me actually going to Starport Factory. I was doing 2 Starport and 3 Barracks until I got my expansion. Again, I was doing the type of harassment style and then expanding very far away. If I was expanding towards that gold expansion, that would be incorrect of me, because now it shortens the push time for the opposing player. So really my harass isn't that strong. So if it ever fails, immediate counterattack and I'm screwed, right?
Yeah.
But now that I have a lot of space between it, I can react accordingly. And it's just much better defensively. So you can see the top left was a very deliberate choice rather than taking that gold expansion. That was a big thing.
Now, you mentioned that you and TT1 play quite a lot against each other. You didn't even really scout the fact that this third was here. Is it just something that you knew from playing against him quite a lot?
No matter what, I'm denying. If it's not there, I just go back.
You just back off? Okay, so it's something that you always do in these type of positions, is sweep around, see if it's there, and if it is, you take it out. If not, then you just kind of fall back and don't lose anything in the meantime.
Exactly. And why I knew there wasn't going to be a counterattack, it's because I still had Banshee count. So you can't play like that. Theoretically, I assumed a lot, because theoretically it could be all-inning me, and it could be over. But that would be it would be blind on both of our parts, right? And to be honest, that's bad play. I probably should take map control on the left-hand side by probably just taking the Zelnaga Tower and just navigating myself. But I knew, because TT1 is a very, very safe standard player, he won't play like that. And again, there's another thing I'm just taking advantage of, because I know his style. I know what he likes to do and what he's capable of. So when I said, okay, my Banshee just died. But that's pretty bad, actually. Again, losing Banshees is bad. But again, like when he's doing, when I know he's like I'm playing against a player like this, you have to cut corners. There's no 2 ways about it. It's like a player's not 6 pooling, so you're not going to defend against that. You know what I mean? Like you're on a caliber. 6 pool is just god awful, so I'm not going to. That's why people do the 15 Nexus. Because why would you ever do 6 pool and risk a free win off of something like that? You know what I mean? It's that same type of mentality.
Right. Now you are adding on a couple more racks. Is there gearing up for a 4th base? As your main is almost, well, you still got a little bit of minerals there, and he has actually secured this high yield, and you have seen exactly what's going on here. You do have a little bit of a drop over here at his 3rd. Not too successful, but he did have to move his army down there. When you see something like this 3rd being up and pretty saturated, it looks like you were just moving out a tiny bit right there. How worried are you as a Terran player in this matchup that a Protoss has a high yield base?
I have to do something within a couple minutes, or I need to react to it by taking my own. But I knew I had, right at this position, I needed to deny it or something. And that's why you see our harass going down. That's how I'm going to deny it. So you have harass at the gold expansion, and then the bottom, which I am so dumb at actually performing. You can see I'm actually dropping on the bottom left-hand corner. and I'm just doing this to hopefully deny that gold expansion. That was the biggest thing, right?
Right.
Because see, that bottom left is just to signify like, hey, pay attention to me while my banshees do something to your probes. But I knew I had to do something from here. There's no doubt about it. And I've been building this really nice army composition, and you're going to see it just wreck face in a little bit. I was able to catch him off guard a little bit, and you're going to see wreck face immediately. Easy, man. Wow, look how good I am. Look how good I am.
Now,
JP, say Gretorp, you are so good.
Gretorp.
No, you don't have to say it. I'm just kidding.
You're all right. You're all right, man. You're all right. I notice you only have upgrades on your infantry, them being at 1-1. How important are upgrades in this matchup for a Terran player to get, and if they are important, which ones should they be getting almost every game?
Well, I do this sort of mixture of everything. So I like everything together, like Banshees, Vikings, Ravens, Thors, sometimes siege tanks, not always, sometimes siege tanks, Marines, Marauders, Medivacs, Ghosts. I like all of them together. But what I think is the most important is going to be the Marine Marauders. Not because they're DPS in a big fight, because I think that overall DPS goes more to the tank or the tank. Well, no, that's not necessary. I think they do the most DPS actually, but I think it's most important for like raids. So if I'm dropping, and that's going to be more effective. So I'm going to go ahead and put all my upgrades on those first, because really the gas allocation cannot be spent all over the place. It's impossible. I have not fiddled around actually with upgrading my Thors and stuff like that yet. Like doing +1 in weapons and +1 in what's called Marine Marauder and stuff like that. So infantry and tech. I haven't really explored that too much yet. I do need to test it out and actually think about it. So let me think about it right now.
Well, while you're doing so,
the biggest thing is that the Thor is the tanking unit, so they have enough HP that I don't have to worry about giving them upgrades just yet. And really, my Marine and Marauders need to be buffed a little bit going towards this end game, because you have High Templars and you have what's it called, Colossus that are going to be, not that High Templars affects armor or are affected by armor, but it's just the fact that the gateway units are the main thing, and you need buffs against the gateway units, or else they're going to deal way too much damage.
Right. Now, it's not often that I get to tell a pro player they're doing something wrong, but you have one engineering bay with both of the upgrades upgrading, and one of them not. And I'm going to transition into the fact that what do you do in terms of hotkeys? Is there? Well, I'll get back to that actually. It looks like we're about to see a real quick fight. So why don't you cast this fight, and then I'll ask you about your hotkeys.
Alright, so obviously just going to A-move into all of this because my army's boss. Really, really huge blunder to have my Marines and Marauders in the front. You never want that. Again, they are probably the bigger DPS units against the Zealots, and you don't want your Thors attacking Zealots really the whole time. So, you want your Thors being the tank, because again, if you kill all that DPS first, it takes a lot longer for them, and you retain all your DPS from the Marine Marauders. But still, like, my army composition was just way too strong. I think the biggest problem with TT1 is he didn't contest my air, which is very hard to, don't get me wrong, but he needs to contest my air with High Templars or with Phoenixes. But really, with the build he did, it's kind of hard to be able to transition into that. Did I answer your question? I feel like it didn't.
No. It's you answered the. I just basically told you to cast that, so that was good.
Oh, yeah.
Now I want to talk to you about hotkeys. Kind of as this game progresses on. A nice blink there from TT1 onto all your Banshees. A little bit of a slip up on your end, but you only lost one. Now going to the hotkey